let's start over, shall we? Now we can start getting people again. Um, thank you for the comments. That is very, very helpful for me to know that if the audio isn't working, then it really helps me to know. I tested the audio before and it was working, but anyhow, so we're back. Okay, thanks for tuning back in. Yes, thank you for mentioning that in the comments. Super important that you mention that. That allows me to actually, fix it. So thanks for sticking with me. All right, so talking about trade-offs. The paradox of choice and trade-offs. So you go to a restaurant, they hand you a menu. Or you go into a diner. There's like 600 options on the board. And then they ask, so do you know what you want? Yeah, not so good. Good restaurants don't have 600 options. A good restaurant will have fewer options and will do fewer things much, much better. And that is kind of what we're talking about in terms of trade-offs, right? So let's be honest, trade-offs are a part of life, and they are even more so when it comes to technology. So really the answer to all of this ultimately is value. What does the trade-off, what trade-off, what does one trade-off value over the other? But we'll talk about this in just a second. So a great example of this, and I know I've been talking a lot about PCs and gaming consoles and kind of the difference, but it does illustrate this point really nicely in that when you go to buy a PC, you go, okay, well, great. Do you want an AMD or an Intel processor? Do you want, what graphics card do you want? We've got 6. Do you want the better RAM? And that'll do what for me? It's like, well, it's faster depending on 600 different variables. It's like no. Too complicated, and a lot of people just avoid it. That's not to say it isn't good. Hey, there I am. Hey, not to say it isn't good. Not to say that the options aren't good. Just to say that it's more options and it's more complex than it needs to be for most people. When you go to buy a gaming console, you buy, for example, an Xbox or a PlayStation, and there's maybe 3 options: small, medium, large, but it's only in terms of storage. It has absolutely no difference in the performance. Same thing with an iPad or an iPhone. And when you go for Android phones, you might have the same thing. You might have, the same model, but with 3 different sizes. So small, medium, large. The coffee is the same. It's just the size of the cup, right? Well, in the case of these iPads or phones, it's great. You can just go, yes, there's no difference in the performance. It really is just how much it holds. And in that case, you're looking at trading off price versus storage, and it's how much is that extra $100 going to save me in frustration later when I buy it too small, and then later it complains it doesn't have enough space, and you wind up spending more of your time managing what storage it does have than actually enjoying, the use of it. So that is something to think about in terms of trade-off. The idea with and then, of course, you have things that are super simple, like the Nintendo Switch, where it's you go out and you buy a Switch, and the only thing that really, really changes is what color it is. Oh, look, it's Animal Crossing. It's so cute. It's, there's not even really a price difference. So that's kind of neat in and of itself. So that makes the options very simple. So what I really want to kind of get into here is the idea of you want to be aware of these kinds of trade-offs, and especially when you talk about software, for example. It helps, perhaps, to think in terms of the value to you and the benefits it offers. To look at the numbers is nice, but unless you really, really understand the numbers and they're really comfortable to you, you know what? I'd say, ask yourself, what is the benefit of it? What value will it bring to my life? How will it, and if you can't answer that question, then that's a great indicator. That's actually a really good thing. It's a great indicator as to what questions you may want to ask later. Or do I search out more information? Because if you can't answer that question, more info might be helpful, or somebody who can, kind of answer these things, might be a benefit. This is something that's it's always about trade-offs, and the fact is that you really kind of have to think in terms of future value. By the way, yes, I'm in the studio because the weather outside looks questionable to me, and I don't want to have my equipment rained on. I'm a human. I'm waterproof. I'm inherently waterproof. I don't worry too much about me as much as I worry about the fact that my iPad may be water resistant, but not waterproof. So yeah, what are some of the examples of trade-off for you guys? It's a matter of, okay, great. Well, is it worth that little extra? And do you have that little extra to spare if you're talking budget? It's a valid question. It's a very, very important one. So it's really good to kind of get into this idea of, oh, okay, thinking that way in terms of, what for what. You don't get anything for nothing. And if it's not monetary, you can actually say, okay, so perfect example of trade-off. I mentioned in technology, it's even more important. So Apple doesn't give you the ability to expand your storage. They don't give you like SD cards and that, but Androids do. And they go, oh, well, yeah, but that's so much better. But is it? There's no way to secure what's on the SD card. There's two ways to go about it. You could either secure the SD card and encrypt the data so that only that phone can read it. But if something happens to the phone, everything on the SD card is useless. Well, yes, it gives you more storage, but that kind of means that you're no further ahead, because that's the idea of most people want to be able to take that out and use it or put it in their computer or what have you. If it's just about expanding the storage, great, but then you lose everything on that little card if you ever pull it out and stick it in anything else. You can't use it anywhere else. And I'm really glad I stayed inside, because now it's raining something fierce. So there you go. The other thing, for example, okay, so great. Okay, let's not secure it. Let's not put it strictly to that device. Okay. But now your information is loose. It's who controls it? Who has access to it? Well, everyone. It means that your photos are free game, or are fair game for anyone. It means that card can be taken and put anywhere, could be taken out or stolen, and that information. And the technical trade-off, of course, of, oh, well, why can't we just load the programs onto the SD card so it doesn't take up the internal of the phone? Because if you do that and there's something goes wrong with the SD card or the SD card reader, then all of a sudden half the apps on your phone don't work, and then there's the possibility that the data could corrupt if it's not being written and read properly. So that not only is it not accessible to you, it's actually damaged. So even if you were able to put it in another device, it wouldn't work anyway. These are all things, these are all considerations, these are all trade-offs. Now, it recently came up that one of the contracts I'm doing, there was a problem with a Windows update, and people are like, oh yeah, well I don't want to do updates because it'll break everything. Well, it doesn't usually, but even the tech companies, even the engineers have to make trade-offs. They have to kind of look and go, well, we can make this better, but it might break this. And if we fix this, it might break something else, but it might not. Is it worth the value? So it really is looking at, what is the benefit of the upside, what is the benefit of the downside, what is the benefit to you? And that is the ultimate question. So, guys, it's a topic for conversation. It's open forum. This is a round table. If you guys want to talk this out or kind of expand this idea, hit me up in the comments. You know what? I'm going to pop up the email here, as usual. So there we go. A lot cleaner than yesterday, isn't it? Yeah. Hit me up an email. Hit me up in the comments. Hit me up in most of you know how to get in touch with me personally. So go ahead. I mean, really, this is a great. The whole point of this show is not just to kind of open these topics up. It's to open these topics up, to talk about them, to bring it to light, and to give a forum to really open up and say, hey, there's so much we can do, but let's open this up. Let's have the discussion. Let's talk about this. So, guys. Oh wait, we got some comments. Now this is a great question from Deb. Actually, hold on. Deb writes, "Is it really bad to have a computer that does more than you need?" No, it isn't. Is it really? Well, okay, within reason, right? I could have an apartment three times the size I need, or you go out and buy a house. Well, you buy a mansion. There's costs involved, right? There's a bigger computer might take up more power. Like if you have big gaming towers use more robust power supplies, which take up more power, which cost you more hydro. If these things are running hard, even when you're not, yeah, that's going to cost you. So again, there's always kind of a trade-off somewhere. So it's a great question, and I do love the question. Is it bad to have it? No, not at all. If you're getting something a little overpowered, no problem. Go for it. But if you're getting something that's like, if you're buying a mansion and then there's a lot of maintenance and upkeep and cleaning. Did I mention cleaning? Mansions they're more work. They require more investment. They require, time and effort and whatnot. So yeah, it's a bigger computer that does more than you need is, you have to buy right. You have to buy for what will suit your lifestyle. And this is what I'm all about, right? Suiting your lifestyle and your needs. If we can get you something smaller, a little more compact, and instead of it forming one side of your desk or the base of your desk, that's I don't know. I find there's merit in that, or just buying the huge big printer, just because of the huge big printer. The argument of, oh yes, this is a great point. A lot of modern hardware pieces that go to powerful desktop nowadays have idle standard. Oh, so here, I love this. Thank you for adding this point. This is great. A lot of modern hardware pieces that go into powerful desktops nowadays have idle, standard, and turbo. So it doesn't run full speed most of the time in order to save money. You're absolutely right. That is a fantastic point. And again, this is a good trade-off. This is okay, so I spent a little more money, but yes, it'll save you on the hydro. I do like that. I like that a lot. Do you buy for your life now or where you eventually want to be? I'm a big believer in think 2 years ahead. Where do you want to be? Right? That's super important. Where do you want to be? So this is really, really a big thing for me. It's a matter of, just like the highways in Montreal or the bridges in Montreal, they keep thinking, oh yeah, well, our needs now don't really matter. That's not really helpful because they keep building them. So they really should be thinking, 5-10 years ahead and building them a little more robust, and maybe even closing lanes on this more robust one so that they can open them up as they need. But yes, I tend to like thinking ahead, but I don't want to think way too far ahead, because then you start getting kind of that analysis paralysis and oh my God, what if? But I do like a little bit of, let's buy with a little more in the engine just to kind of be able to give it the gas, So I do like that. Guys, awesome. I love doing these kind of talks. I love when you guys get into this. This is great. That's fantastic. You know what? If you guys want to continue this discussion, please email, comments, get in touch with me directly. Anything you guys bring up, I will bring up on the show. I'd love to continue the debate on just anything I've mentioned. And if you guys have anything you want to add, please, I'd love to. This is a roundtable. I mean, this may be my field of expertise, but I want your experience too, so that we can kind of find what works best for you guys. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Wow, we had a big show today, so I like that. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6:45, and I've got a few options for topics, so I'm not exactly sure what I will do next, but we'll have some fun. If you have something specific that you guys want to see, again, comments, hit me up directly, send me an email, anything you like. Heck, you can go through the website, rstruther.com. I'm rather proud of it. So, all right, see you guys tomorrow.